Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inside the Cardinal Playbook. Our fall edition features football, and Coach Shawn Weigel will be with us to preview the new year in just a moment. I'm Rick Cole with Tim Crone, and for the 9th year, Tim, you'll be helping me bring Jewel broadcasts to the internet, and this year we start out with a brand new regime. We have brand new helmets, we have brand new jerseys, a different look, but a different head coach in Shawn Weigel. What are you expecting from the coach?
Well, I know you feel the same way I do, and first of all, Rick, I appreciate you and William Jewell letting me do this for this long. You know, I babble my way through, but I'm excited about this season. And you know Coach Weigel is one of my favorite people here. You've heard me say that both on and off the air and wherever we've been socially. He's very personable, very outgoing. He's very kid-oriented. And I think you're going to see a real positive approach to football here at William Jewell. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, what we're going to talk about, and of course we'll talk about offense and defense and especially teams and his coaching staff, but I just like what he's doing. This is the first year, and I want you to say something about that because we've been there through this together 9 years. Rick, I've never seen us have 26 redshirts.
Right, yeah. It's a veteran team. It really is.
Yeah, and in Division II, we've taken our lumps with the team doing the games. But the difference we've seen as years went on, and I know you will agree with me, is depth.
Right.
And now we've got guys that have had experience at both the 1 and 2 levels that'll be able to come in and play. And I think that'll be a big difference. Our schedule is not easy. It's extremely hard. It's a tough conference, but I really like the way we ended it. It was such a positive for everybody involved in the program, from the administration on down when we beat Indy. That was one of the most amazing spread out, hurry up, but slow down approaches I've ever seen. That ball game, that was extremely a great game plan. It really was.
Well, coming up next, Tim will talk to Coach Weigel, and they'll build on the Indianapolis win that ended last year as the Cardinals tied for second in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Tim and Coach Weigel coming up in a moment on Inside the Cardinal Playbook.
Welcome to this segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook, and it's my honor to have Coach Weigel, who's been one of my favorite people in my tenure here at William Jewell. He's done a great job as a assistant coach. And Coach, let's just lead you right into it. Let's get right to the get-go, man. The difference between being a head coach and a coordinator.
Everything's different. Really, everything's different. And it's something that I embrace because I've been patient getting to this point. And it was going to happen at Jewell or it was going to happen somewhere else because I was pursuing some things. So I tell you what, I couldn't be more excited to be the head coach. And as from an offensive standpoint, I'm going to have the ability still to call the plays and whatnot and call the games from that standpoint, but rely on our offensive staff some more to do the day-to-day operations and getting the game plan and stuff ready to go and the scripting and things of that nature. So it's exciting.
You've done a great job. I already like the helmet and jersey. Hopefully people can see it on air. That's pretty smooth. I didn't know you were a connoisseur of dress.
That's about as much flash
as I'm going to I was going to say, I know your lovely wife probably has to help you with that a little bit. Well, let's talk about something that, and we go way back, even from when you started here. It's the first time. And today I walked in, I went through the roster, the 2-deep roster, and I counted 26 redshirt kids we have, on the roster now. Never's been that way. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, well, then that's part of the transition from the NAIA to Division II is installing that program and the redshirt program. It's not a wholesale program for us, but because we have our 4-year guarantee that some of our student athletes choose to do. But it transforms a roster. And, when you see upperclassmen now, there's redshirt juniors and things of that nature that you're filling your 2-deep with, and some seniors, so it's where we are. And with that comes expectations that we should be better, and the team understands that. That was one thing that we emphasized is the expectations are higher. You're going to have your life more in balance, but the expectations are higher across the board with everything we do, and it's kind of our cardinal standard, we like to call it. So it's a good situation to be in.
Well, looking at the schedule, there's no weak sisters. I went through it. With a fine-tooth comb, thinking about, and I've had some experience with playing some of these teams in the past, and we'll get to Drake in the next segment, and we'll talk about that because that's our first ball game. But overall, the conference looks strong. We had that big win up in Indy to finish it. All of us had a good taste in our mouth. But you're playing some non-conference schools that are tough. Why don't you talk a little bit about the schedule?
Sure. As you said, we'll open at Drake, and we can talk more about that later. But then we have Colorado Mines coming in. They have a new head coach. Coach Brandt came from New Mexico State, I believe was their offensive coordinator. They were a playoff team last year, and they have a very, very good quarterback that's back.
Very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Remember him well.
And he's back in a lot of other skill positions. Their offensive line, and they're intact, and they're going to be good. That's just where that program is. It's where we aspire to be. That year in and year out, you're going to compete for something. And so we'll have them, and then we go on the road to Rensselaer and play St. Joseph's, and they won 8 ball games last year. So the first 3, I think, combined, they lost 8 ball games.
Yeah, and talking about going up to Indiana and play, I thought they were really physical. I thought they were one of the most physical conference teams we played last year.
Yeah.
Up front, they really get after it.
Well, and what was awesome about that game, it wasn't sloppy.
Right.
On either side, and that was and you're referring to the Indianapolis game, is that it's not like they had a bunch of turnovers and we slopped through this game, but we controlled the ball and we found a recipe basically.
Yeah.
And control the ball and pick up crucial third downs and make some plays and then you can beat them.
Well, I tried to explain to everybody, and a lot of people in the Kansas City area would come up to me and say, "Hey, I heard you guys got Indy up there." I said, "It's the first time I've seen a fast breaks look and a slow pace."
Yeah.
And it was outstanding. And you guys were remarkable. That was one of the best game plans I have ever seen. Now, and I won't put you on the spot. And as a matter of fact, I don't want, as the color guy for the school, to talk about what we're going to do individually. But we do have some guys back. And why don't we start a little bit? I'll tell you before we do that, though, let's talk about your coaching staff. In the second segment, we'll talk about the kids. But why don't you talk about the offensive, defensive staff?
Sure. Offensively, we're intact from the transition to the new staff. Still have Coach Sam Brown back working with our quarterbacks.
That's nothing but a good thing.
No doubt.
He's a legend,
and he's always looking over my shoulder, which I appreciate.
Yeah, you need that.
And if I get an eye roll from him or something, I know I need to probably change direction with something that I'm thinking about doing. But he's back, and then Coach Taylor Gallagher, and those two I really rely heavily on during the week to get stuff done. They work so well together, and have done a great job of continuing where we've come with the offense. Billy Quizert with the offensive line, we've turned even more responsibility over to him. With that, he did a fantastic job.
He was a hard worker as a player.
Yeah, and he does the same, and really relates well to the O line, and they're always getting something done. And something new, I'll look over and there's something I'm like that. See, that's why the guy is.
That's why you got
it. Yeah, and it's been good that way. And then we've taken Colby Bowles, that had an injury in the spring. He was doing really, really well at the quarterback position. Had an unfortunate injury in the spring, and he's going to be working with our running backs this year. And you talk about a guy that knows everything we do.
Yeah,
well, that's a pretty
easy
good transition. And he's an older kid, and with the transfer and a couple red shirt situations there, so a lot of respect from our players to him. And that kind of rounds out the offensive side. And I'll call the game on Saturday offensively, especially if it's going well. And it was me calling it. And if it wasn't, it's somebody.
You blame
else.
Sam?
Yeah,
Sam's an old horse.
I probably can't go there, but it'll be Colby. Colby called that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go with the young one. That's a good move. And now defensively.
Yeah, defensively we have a little bit different
change.
Yeah, and really excited to have Trent Figg back. As you know, he had
Trent's
been with us
guy.
before. Oh, he's awesome. He's awesome, and he was when this change happened. It's like the lights are going off in my head. Who do you want to get back in here? And just the way he treats people and
he bleeds William Jewell.
Yeah, and him being a graduate, that was a good fit. So he left here and gone to Arizona State and learned an awful lot from a program down there that's been very successful.
Could be real good this year.
Yeah, and then was at Southern Arkansas, another Division II, and it was just a natural pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, would you be interested to come and run the defense, or the defensive coordinator. With him is Matt Trowbridge, that we brought back. Again, he'd also been here, and we brought him back. He'd been in Lincoln and was wanting to get back in the college game, and it was perfect timing. And so we brought him back. He does a lot of things for us in our secondary, but he's also going to coordinate our special teams. And so we get kind of that role back with how we had done things before, and I have a lot of trust in him to do a great job there. Zach Mann is helping him in the secondary as well. Zach is our travel coordinator. That's
big. That's big.
There's a job you don't want. It's a travel coordinator.
Well, you kind of had to mess with that in your younger days too.
Yeah, I did.
I dealt with you on that, so I know we both know that's no fun.
Yes, so we got an awful lot of respect for that position after having done that at West Texas A&M. So, with 75 on the travel party, you're relying on someone else to make sure there's enough food and all that. And so, but we have him doing that. Also, I did mention on the offensive side, J.J. Aller had been with us before. He's coming back and has been working with our tight end position. So we can separate. We have someone to go with, whether they go with the offensive line or go with the receivers.
They're tweener. It's a tweener position.
Yeah, it really is, especially in today's offenses.
Yeah.
Well, is he a tight end or is he a number 3 receiver coach? So it's been good that way. And then Coach Mark Weigel, that was with us, has been with us now, going in his 6th year, I believe, and working with the defensive line and handles our recruiting coordinator position and does a great job with that. And really embraced some of the things, the change and stuff that the changes we've made defensively and with the whole program wise. So it's good to have Coach Wabes there with us, and he also does our reading program for the kids every home game when we have that. So all that stuff's important. So you got all these pieces to the puzzle that they all complement one another, and that was what was important to me in getting the staff in here, and so that's what we've done.
Well, all of them have a lot of ties with Williamsville, and that's important. Well, that'll end this segment. We'll get back with you, and we're going to be a little bit more specific. We're going to talk about our offense and defense and some of the guys, and then at the end we're going to talk a little bit about Drake. So that'll end this segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook. Coach, we're talking about offense, defense, special teams, and we'll get to Drake, but being a defensive guy, me and you always argue back and forth. You're offensive guy, but we're going to start with the defense, okay? And I want you to just give us a little general synopsis. We're not going to give anything up here today, nor would any Cardinal fan want us to give anything up yet. But why don't you talk a little bit about your defense?
Sure. Well, as we talked, Coach Fig is in charge of that, and I knew when we talked briefly coming in what we wanted to do and some of the changes, and we knew that a simplification of some things and allowing our players to play fast. So that's what we've done. It's no secret. We're primarily a 3-man front team now. That being said, there's never just 3 coming, but it's something that through that we can adjust really easily with the 3-4 defense, especially with today's spread teams and whatnot, and match personnel with what we have here a little bit better than maybe we have before, and so that's what we're doing there. And in the secondary, will be multiple. You
have to.
Yeah, and and not give them an opportunity to stand there. We're not standing with bullseyes on our chest, and I don't think we've ever done that. But we'll be moving and making a little hay. Yeah,
that's a good philosophy going in. Okay, this is your love, the offense, and you really do have some good assistant coaches who really go help you. But what I like looking about it, and let me just fire this question at you. I didn't prep you on this one, but offensive line, we're bigger and stronger. Like I already mentioned about the redshirt situation, but also the very first thing I look at still as an old retired coach is that offensive line and how big and strong they are, and we are bigger and stronger.
You bet. And it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you do in the back end if those guys up front haven't been committed to something and have grown through being here a couple of years, 2 and 3 years, and so the expectation they've got to be your most cohesive group out there, or else it can look like a complete disaster.
Without a doubt.
And defensively, you guys don't have to worry about it. You get a guy out of position, but if we don't find him, you don't see it.
And sometimes you can be out of position. You run hard. That's what you teach them.
Yeah.
Find the ball and sick them.
Yeah.
But you can't do that on all.
No, or it looks like a cluster. And so we're real excited about the guys that we have coming back. They're just a level of experience. And, yeah, they did a great job of in the off season of getting ready to go. And with Brandon Kluwer being a first-team all-conference player coming back, that's a big deal for us. And Logan Winter next to him, those guys have played next to one another for 3+ years now. Jake Holloman at the center position. We go to right guard and Jake Anthony. He's been there 2 years now, and then we Andrew Bick and actually Blocklinger kid from Liberty.
Yeah. Well, I
Block's
asked Rick.
doing
That's
good.
the only freshman you got starting so far. I saw him play. I did the game. He's a stud.
Yeah, he's doing some really good things there. And the more depth we can have, the better we're going to be.
Sure.
And so those guys that aren't in that front row, they need to keep pushing. And because it's gonna happen. There's a lot that happens, a lot of falling bodies going different directions in there, and guys will get a little bit dinged up, but you can't fall off from there. And we'll miss Trevor Goforth. This is an injury that we had this spring. That he was a utility guy. He could do anything.
Yeah, he
anything
did a good job
anytime.
at it.
Yeah, and
Smart kid.
Yeah, and we'll miss him this year up there. But
Skill kid wise. A lot of familiar names for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no double take for me all the way through. Now, I'll be honest with you, never been able to do that. I know you're proud of those kids, those skilled kids. Let's talk a little bit about them.
You bet. You look at it, and we have the ability to be very, very multiple, and not have to make a lot of personnel changes.
Mm-hmm.
We just have that kind of kid that that might be in the backfield one time, then he's out at receiver. So that if they watch film, that's no secret. That we've been able to do some things like that before. Starting with our receiving coordinator, Agarawa. He's a big kid that does an extremely physical, has a lot of desire, and is capable and motivated, and that can be a pretty lethal combination when you have that, and we have that across our offense, our entire offense, and we expect big things from him, and Anthony Mullins.
I thought he was a great player. He got dinged up at the end of the year, but I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, 800 and some yards receiving, maybe about 900. I don't know. So that was it's great to have him back, and it's just a completely different dynamic. One's going to physically get after the other one. You're going to have a hard time.
You got to catch him.
Yeah,
you got to catch him.
So that's an interesting dynamic with those two, and then you throw Drake Hofer and Staten Rebeck in there, guys that are extremely solid. Cody Edwards back.
They all run good patterns. I remember that. All those guys you just mentioned.
And it's those guys, if they know to play within themselves,
right?
And
they know who they are.
Yeah, and those guys have done a great job. And Cody's bigger and stronger than he's ever been, and with so many guys, I'm probably going to leave someone out, so I'll apologize right now. But with
it's
those
early,
guys,
Coach.
I'll get caught up.
We got 12 more shows to go.
And from there, you take a Thomas Cook and a Trey Mask and
See me
Derek
smile.
Strzelecki, and
I know all three of them. I know them off the field too. They're great kids, but they like playing football. That's why I like all three of those kids.
And they provide a different dynamic, and
they all are different type players.
And having a stable of those guys, that you can rely on. Derek came in and had to. He did a great job at the Indy game and in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And Trey, of course, coming in and fulfilling more of a kind of a role that was pushed on him with an injury to Cook early or mid-season there, and those guys have responded well, and we expect a lot of production from them.
Quarterback.
Yep,
got him back.
We have 4 of them, and and that's something that those guys have really learned to compete and stepped up their game. That's something with Nick West. He'll be getting the nod there, but we have others that are capable, and so it's comforting that you get to that point. You're starting to get some seasoned kids in those positions, and not that you're ever real comfortable as a coach, but you have some peace of mind. And but Nick started 7 games for us last year, and it's in those games we were 4-3, so more is expected with that position, and then just having capable people behind him. Jared Hobby had an excellent spring, and he's really come on here.
Yeah, he moved up to 2 on the chart that I got. Is that correct?
And Dom Bassesi is just. he's just kind of cool hand Luke, just runs things. So you feel good about those guys. There's a freshman in there that Colin Rugg that has an awful lot of potential, and so that all those things provide some competition and pressure that we need to go out and get it done. Because that's one position. If you ever need to start a youth movement, things better be going right with you, or else, listen, we're going to start a youth movement there. So, we're excited about some of the opportunities we have there, and we'll throw a tight end there with the Schmidt kid out of Illinois, and I don't know, it just seems to be never ending, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. Coach, I thought, and I'm going to give you some kudos, I thought you were one of the better specialty teams coaches I've ever seen. You did a great job with specialty teams.
Oh, thank you.
And I know, I don't have to, you're one head coach, being a defensive guy, I always had to talk to those, because you know how important that is.
Yeah.
But you being a special team coordinator, and you were really good at it. Why don't you talk about that? And I have no qualms that our specialty teams, I would be really disappointed if they aren't real good, because they have been real good for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and that's something. That's just our approach. We're going to spend time on that, and Coach Trowbridge, and it was a luxury that was afforded to me when I was a special teams coordinator, that I had access to guys and we could practice it.
Right.
So that's important. We want to find that hidden yardage, and that one thing that that maybe that field position battle that we win that turns the tide, because it's when you look at it, it's 20% of the snaps. If someone says it's a third of the game, well, really when you thin slice it now with today's offense, about 20%.
I thought that our specialties were big in the Truman game field position wise. Mullins made that one good kind of field switch. I remember those are the little things that make you a good team, though.
Right, no doubt, and that's field position. I mean, you look at the percentage. If you're starting inside your own 20 or 30, chances are that you're not going to get points. So it's big, and you just consistently win that battle. And now you're on the other side, but hey, we're in scoring position, whether it be 2 or 3 series, and you're in good shape. So we expect an awful lot of consistency out of our punter, Zane Kitchell, and the kicking duties handled by Brandon Womack, because it is that important.
Yeah.
And
well, I don't think I'll add, like I said, and I know we'll see frontline guys in there on specialty teams. I think, particularly at the college level, the specialty team guys can go. So you better have front line guys in there that can help defend and make it successful. Well, Coach, again, I don't, you're not going to get too specific, but let's talk about Drake. And actually, I'm hanging on your every word, because we've never played Drake. And so why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, when you look at them, they lost. Here's what they lost from a defense team. They're 2 interior guys, which were really good players. But they've Coach Fox has been there a while, and he's in his 2nd season, and they've been good year in year out for a long time now. They finished, I believe it was 7-4 last year, and tied for 2nd in their conference.
I knew they were 7-4.
Yeah, and so they're good. You just don't happen to win 7 ball games by not having bad personnel or bad schemes or anything like that. And then I'm sure they have people reloaded to jump in there and handle those interior guys. But other than that, they have 18 redshirt seniors on that team.
Wow.
Which is a bunch.
That's a lot.
Yeah, they return...
of course, they had to build that program again from scratch, too.
Yep, they return 8 offensively and 8 defensively.
Right.
So they're going to be everything anybody wants. I mean, they'll doesn't matter who they're playing.
I've had some people at the golf course ask me what conference is Drake in. Why don't you talk about just 2 or 3 of the teams that the Drake plays in the conference? Can you get that off the top of your head?
Yeah, they're in the Pioneer football league. They do a lot of traveling. They get to get on flights, but they play Valparaiso, then they're Butler, Dayton, San Diego, Jacksonville University, Stetson.
Well, they do travel.
So they travel. Yeah, they get to fly all over. I love flying.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool. That'd be cool. I'll try to get my pilot's license. So be good.
Well,
Coach, I don't want to get too mushy, because that isn't the way I roll, but I couldn't be happier for a guy that's worked any harder to get a head coaching job in the college level than you. Totally respect you. We've had good times and we've had some rough times. On this side, when you have to interview somebody and you get clicked pretty good, that's not easy, especially if you've been a whole coach, because you have a lot of empathy for those people. But you always did it with class, and you always did it as a professional. And I really look for good things for this program, And again, I think that it's one step at a time. We talked about some things where we saw growth in this program, and I think you'll continue on. So good luck. And now we want to talk about it's 6 o'clock start.
Yes.
And so that'll be a little different. We don't have many 6 o'clock starts.
It's the only one.
So, and like me and Rick will be doing the game, so anybody that can't make it up, but boy, it should be nice to have a lot of Carter fans up there. I know you would like that.
Absolutely would.
Yeah, well, good luck to you. You'll do a great job. I'm looking forward to season.
Back inside the Cardinal Playbook now that you've heard from Coach Weigel. Tim Crone rejoins us here as we visit a little bit about Coach Weigel and the upcoming season. What are your curiosities headed into the game at Drake Saturday?
Well, I did talk with Coach. They only had like 600 yards receivers coming back. They didn't throw it a lot. They ran it a lot. So, will we be able to stop the run? I think that's in every football game.
Right.
Whether it's high school, college, or pros. We watch them, me and you in the fall. We go 3 months of watching steady football, and you got to stop the run. So let's see if we can do that. I think we're going to move the football. I think we're going to be very versatile on offense. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people because we have good skill kids. Right. But my first look is always the offensive line. This is the first time we've had size and experience on the offensive line.
We are moving toward that Division II kind of team that we knew we would have to go toward, but we're getting there now. We're really having some of those experienced veterans, as you said earlier, red shirts, a lot of them, come back to play this year.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this 6 o'clock start up at Drake. I really am.
Drake and the Cardinals, they'll match up at 6 o'clock Saturday night, as Tim said, and Tim will join us on our play-by-play. We'll have audio only from Des Moines, Iowa. Our pregame will start at 5:30 on the William Jewell College Sports Network with the kickoff at 6. And by the way, we celebrate now our 10th year as the William Jewell College Sports Network. Join us Saturday night from Des Moines, Iowa, our pregame at 5:30 on the William Jewell College Sports Network. And join us next week for more of Inside the Cardinal Playbook.